Hey, welcome back to the Twisted, Bent, and Exhausted Entrepreneur Podcast. My name is Jeff Harris, along with my co-host
Leslie Spohr.
Hey, she got the handoff, and we didn't fumble it in the
and
as
I
we
did
were
dance.
running. She missed the dance. Oh, there she goes. She's dancing. If you know Leslie, that is something she always does. Every time I see her, she's dancing. So life is good. Leslie, what new is going on in your world?
Well, my cabinet's almost finished.
Yeah.
The new cabinet. I thought glass was included. Turns out it was not. So now I have to get glass. But otherwise, it looks pretty darn good. I can't wait for you to come see it.
That's like going to your optometrist and say, yeah, we need new glasses. You buy the frames and you're like, I can't see any better. And they say, well, you got to pay for the lenses. Oh,
exactly.
Hello.
Exactly. I was like, well, wait. There's glass goes here. He goes, no. I'm like, oh, okay. So
yeah, we just do cabinets. We don't do countertops.
Yeah. That's correct. Yeah, the countertop is in, however, yeah. but the glass on the doors,
Really? Oh,
yeah.
That's strange.
Yeah, I thought it would be included, but he only does wood. He does not do glass. Did you know? Interesting fact. Did you know that glass is neither a solid nor a liquid?
I can see right through that description.
Boy, that was pathetic. It was almost a dad joke. Yeah. Actually, it's not. I don't know how to explain it, but I know that it's not a liquid and it's not a solid.
Okay.
So we'd have to Google it. But
you can't take us any. So you can't take us any further than that.
I cannot.
It's like a bridge to nowhere.
Exactly. But it is true. It is true. It's not a liquid, not a solid.
Well, for those of you who
we digress.
For those who just joined us, I apologize. We're talking things that have nothing to do with business. But here is the cool part about that. So I'm going to make a little segue. Is the fact that many of us as business owners, we work in a silo. In other words, we work in our business isolated. Yes, we may have employees, we may have customers, but when it comes to business and making decisions and doing things behind the scene, it's usually one person. So that's why we invite you to join us. And so when Leslie and I get together, sometimes we'll talk about things that our spouses, our friends, our customers either A, have no interest in, or B, they don't know what's going on. And so we can talk this language. It's almost like walking in a crowd of people and you're the only ones that speak that language. So no one really understands you. So this is our little moment of getting that out.
That's right. That's right. Yep. And it's fun too.
Yeah. So again, welcome to the Twisted, Bent, Exhausted Entrepreneur Podcast. This is a podcast designed for entrepreneurs who, are kind of out there and think, hey, I want to take my business to the next level. What things are holding me back? What things can I be aware of? And today we're kind of having a fun talk because Leslie said we are. It's about top 10 time wasters for business owners. So
you made me sound like a tyrant.
But because Leslie said off air, this is what we're going to talk about, Jeff, because you're a time waster. I'm like, okay. She said 10, but she said there's probably more you know of. And I said, I don't waste time, Leslie. I don't have time to waste. So, okay. Leslie, let's take it from the top.
Okay.
First of all, why is this important?
Well, because when you work alone, as we both know, because we both primarily work alone, even though I have a staff, I work separate from my staff most of the time. And when you work alone, you have a tendency there's nobody there to hold you accountable. There's nobody there to bounce ideas off of. If you're working out of your house, which most of us do when we first get started, you and I still do. I do have a separate office for my staff. Excuse me, my nose itches.
That's a time waster right there.
Right there.
Don't stop.
I have an office for my staff, but I work out of my house still. And so when you're in your home and working alone, it's very easy to get distracted or find yourself falling into a trap of what are legitimately time wasters. And I thought it would be helpful to talk to that to some degree. And it's probably going to wander all over the place because A, that's what my brain does. And B, because one of these topics can lead to another. So we'll just have fun with it and see where it goes. And so what do you think is like one of the big time wasters for small business owners?
Well, I think the most obvious one is the fact that we have these at our fingertips, and there's so many distraction points from this, from the standpoint of if I'm engaged in doing something, and I see it light up, or because I use it on silent or vibrate, or if it rings, that immediately triggers our brain to say, "Oh, see what it is," and that's triggering the fight or flights in our head, like, "Oh, there must be emergency. I have to stop what I'm doing, focus over there," and just that little distraction, Leslie. They say it takes up to 40 minutes to get back into that flow state. If let's say I was working on, I'm building a landing page for a client and I've been doing it for 30 or 40 minutes, I'm in that flow state. And that 30-second distraction now it could take me another 30 to 40 minutes to get back into that flow state. So I think our phone plays a huge distraction point.
It does. And I'll tell you that I'm sure your phone does this too. Mine tracks how much time per day you're on your phone, which is extremely disturbing, by the way,
Mm.
because I'll get the report. It'll say 8 or 9 hours today.
Oh, geez.
And I'm like, how in the heck was I on my phone 8 or 9 hours? Well, first of all, I am on the phone a lot talking to people. I mean, that's fair. But I'm also on my phone a lot playing games. And
Candy
that
Crush.
no, I don't play Candy Crush. But I'm more into word games and logic games.
Wordle? Are you a Wordle
I
person?
am a Wordle person. I won this morning in 2 tries. So yes, I am a Wordle person. If I get beyond 3, I feel like I failed. So it's yes, definitely Wordle. But what happens is that you're right. You get a call or a text or check your email on there, which I do a lot also as I use it. I work off my phone. So it's not, I'm trying to give myself the benefit of the doubt that most of that 8 or 9 hours is work time, but a good portion of it is not. Okay. And so phones I think it's smart to work with them on mute or just vibrate, or even create a policy that says, I'm only going to check my email. I'm only going to answer my phone at certain times of the day. Now, of course, that depends on what kind of business you run. I know that you quite often have scheduled times where you do that, right? Mm-hmm. I have less of an option to do that because I get calls all day long, all hours of the day and night, from potential clients or existing clients. And so I can't always shut it off like that. But depending on your business, for sure, you can set some boundaries with that stupid phone. It's a good thing and a bad thing, right?
Yeah, one of the most beneficial ways to stop that from distracting you, this is what I tend to do now, is I will schedule things that I want to get done. And then if I have any time between, let's hypothetically say I schedule an hour for this podcast and we get done in 45 minutes. Well, that means I've got 15 minutes as a little bit of a downtime. If I want to check if I want to check my posts, or if I want to check something on my phone, I can, and not throw me in a tither. But then I'm reminded, hey, at the top of that hour, if that were, that now it's back into doing work. And I've heard people tell me, hey, when I get into that zone, I leave my phone in another room. And I also turn I have a device on my computer that gives me no notifications. So if I get a notification from Facebook or Instagram or a client, whatever it is, I don't get any of that. So I'm really trying to be in that deep state because, in my side of my world, there's a tremendous amount of creativity that goes on. Right. And sometimes sometimes I got to go take a shower to get that creativity going. Who knows, right? I can't be bothered by my phone.
Okay.
And so
my mind was somewhere else.
TMI. So yeah, there are ways to say, okay, we're going to set that distraction aside and schedule what you want to get done. And if you get done sooner, you get some time. But make sure you get back on that schedule, because remember, when you're distracted, it could take up to 40 minutes to get back into that flow state. Now, if you're doing a series of small tasks, that one task may take you 5 minutes. Well, it doesn't take 40 minutes to get in that flow state. It is like this morning. I said, okay, I've got to put a post up for a client. I've got to turn that into an ad. Great. I have to do this for a a live show we're doing this afternoon. So it took me about 15 minutes total. It's
Right.
okay. It was choppy. It was very just task oriented. It wasn't like I got to set it now. What should I do? No, it wasn't one of those.
Well, yeah, and along that same line is television. Whether you're in your office and you have a TV in your office, outside your house, or you have one in your whatever your workspace is inside your house, TV can be a huge distraction. Now, it used to be my policy that I didn't turn the TV on in my office until it got dark outside. Okay?
Is that why you put those dark out shades in your office? Because it was dark all the time?
That's right. Yes. No, that used to be my policy. So, and it wasn't an intentional, I didn't set that policy consciously. It just worked out that way. I had a goal amount of work I had to get done. I'd be focused on that. And so for me, TV was a distraction. And then at night, I needed the kind of white noise, if you will. So I would always put it on. I still do this at nighttime. If I have the TV on, I put it on some show that I've seen before, a movie I've seen before. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've seen The Haunted Mansion, for example, because it's one that I can play, creates white noise, and it doesn't distract me. I don't have to listen to it directly in order to know what's going on. It's just noise. So that works well. These days, I have the TV on all the time because I'm addicted to the news, and so it's always on. But I don't hear it all the time, if that makes sense. Again, it's more like white noise for me. If it starts to become a distraction, I turn it down. But for most business owners, I would suggest not having a TV on during the day until you get the discipline in place to work around it. Because most people, and I'm not saying I'm better than anybody, but most people find TV to be a huge distraction. They'll start watching soap operas or binge watch something on Netflix, which is a fun time waster all by itself. And so you want to avoid that. I think creating discipline is one benefit that people can learn from this podcast. You absolutely have to have discipline if you're going to be a business owner. And that discipline can be, I get up at the same time every day. I take a shower every day in the same time. I'm at my desk working at the same time. I know for you go play pickleball. You go to the gym, whatever you read in the morning. By the way, how much did you read today?
I didn't read any today. I just did some meditation and my review of I did some writing of what I wanted to get done and some positive affirmations. And that was all I did today.
Good. And our viewers don't realize that Jeff and I coach Jeff separately from this podcast. And so we had talked about, he spends a lot of time learning new things, which is great. I mean, he is on the forefront of all the AI technology. He knows exactly what's going on. And every time something new comes out, he knows what it is and what to do with it. That's fantastic. But he's also brilliant on the other side of that. So he doesn't need 3 hours a day, in my opinion, of learning new things. So we're working on cutting that down a little bit so that he can get other things accomplished that he really wants to get accomplished, which that's true, right?
It is true. It is true.
Yeah.
So far we're about 4-5 days into this experiment. Right. And what I've noticed is it's given me this void in my time. Like there's all of a sudden I'm like, there's not a lot to do because I have created an automation process for most of my business. And I would fill that with the learning part, which would then stimulate me to learn more. But what it didn't allow me to do was something I've always been a believer in. If I learn something new, that's only half of it. I can't learn how to ride a bike by reading about it. I have to do it. Right. And so what it's allowed me to do, Leslie, it's allowed me now to start doing it, building AI agents, creating the content I need to push out my content accelerator, finishing up the landing, all that. So it's actually now getting me more instead of a learning stage into a doing stage. And quite frankly, as I'm doing, I'm learning. So yeah, that's kind of the process there. I do want to challenge you one thing on that. Not challenge you, but toss this back in again.
Sure.
there's a part of our brain that loves that stimulation, and that's whether it's your phone, it's your text, it's the TV. We as marketers, the goal is to not only get your attention, but how can we retain your attention? And we see that in many shows. Some people may not recognize this term because it's probably changed over to be called Netflix, but it's the cliffhanger effect.
Right,
We
right.
want to know what happened to Sally when Joe asked the question, right? And you can't wait till the next one. Well, you have it recorded, so you're going to watch the next one, and then the next one, and next thing you know, you're 6 or 7 episodes in, and you're like, crap, it's time for dinner, and the
Right.
day is gone. Well, that's that stimulus, that dopamine hits that you're getting, that you keep going to it. It truly is a drug. And here's the cool
That's
thing.
true.
It's a drug of choice. And like for you as an example, the choice would be, okay, my dopamine hit is always being able to look up and see what's going on that TV. And if it's interesting, I'll turn it up. If it's not, I'll just look back down. Is to turn it off.
I agree
So
with
just
you.
keep it off.
I agree with you.
And see what happens. And I'll be honest with you, it was for me the first morning I did this where I'm not consuming. I'm like, I was nervous. Like, what am I going to do? Like,
Fear of
it's almost
missing
like
out.
it's almost like I was coming down from a high. I don't know what
Yeah.
that's like, but I've watched enough videos that like I'm having some negative feelings here.
Withdrawal.
Yeah, withdrawals. But then afterwards, it's like, okay, now it's like day 5, and I didn't even think about doing that today. So it can
Good.
happen very quickly. So I challenge you, Leslie, to turn your TV off and go back to your, hey, if there's anything that's going to positively or negatively affect me, someone close to me will let me know. I don't
Right.
have to watch the news.
Right.
Like,
You're right.
like your husband will come in and say, did you see on the news? And I have it turned off. This is what happened. How's it going to affect me? And then start training him to say, don't come in and tell me anything unless it absolutely directly affects you, me, our family, or our business, period. Don't come in here if you're going to spread news that doesn't do that.
He'd be thrilled if I turned it off because I drive him crazy with it. I mean, any given room in my house has it on mute, so that when I go from room to room, I can turn it on.
I've been there. I feel like I'm in a sports bar.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it is a distraction, no matter, even for me, who I have really good discipline after 20 years of doing this, I get all my stuff done. Right. But other things suffer. Like we talked about how after COVID, especially, I personally stopped going out to network and so which cut my social interaction significantly down. I mean, I was not talking to adults or human beings of any kind except my husband and you, pretty much. That's who I talk to. And so now that I have joined that networking group and I'm looking at joining a couple other groups, as hard as it is to get up and go every week, just the social interaction and being with other business owners has made a big impact on me. And so that's another thing that I would recommend, where I don't agree that you need 3 hours a day of podcasts, and I shouldn't say that, podcasts and YouTube videos.
I'll cut that part out.
Yeah, kind of YouTube videos and reading self-help books and all that stuff. I don't agree that you need 3 hours a day of that. I do think you need some of it. However, but I think human interaction is far more important, and getting to know people, getting to understand their businesses, trying to brainstorm, how can I form a collaborative relationship with this person, these people, so that I can grow my business and hit my goals, right? That's productive use of time to me, because I'm actually trying to do something to achieve whatever I set out to do. And so I think you're right. Turning the TV off would probably be a big help, because then I would go, all right, I got to see all these papers. I would have to address all those papers. I am still a paper person. I know that's sacrilege in 2025, but I still like my paper. So TV, phone, 2 big time wasters. Another one that I think is a huge time waster for business owners in particular is, and this kind of follows the phone mentality, but apps like Pinterest or cooking things, stuff. For me, I don't follow celebrities and stuff like that on Instagram. I have cooking, decorating, craft stuff, right? Which are all things I love, which are all things that are cathartic to me to do, and help recharge my brain from being so focused on business. But it's super easy to get hung up in there, just like you said, with binge watching page after page after page after page. So you got to really, I think if you put that on your calendar as a time, okay, I'm going to do Pinterest just this amount of time and then shut it down, you still get your fix, but you don't have to give up all your time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because I think it's one of those things, like as an example, let's hypothetically say I play golf. My wife doesn't like it when I go play golf. So every time I go to play golf, she makes it painful. Like, God, are you going to play golf again? So now I go out there and I feel guilty while I'm out there. So I'm not enjoying it. I come home, now I get razzed for that. And so I'm like, then just stop playing golf. Well, that doesn't do any good for the relationship, because then there's probably resentment, because I'm kind of a guy that'll hold grudges and be resentful. No, I'm not.
No, I was going to say, I don't know you to be that.
But that's one of those things. So I think what you just hit on there is really important. Is I'm not telling you to stop. Like, okay, I said turn off the TV during work hours, but I'm not saying never watch the television. And what you're saying is, hey, I'm not telling you just to delete all your apps and you can never go back there and follow something you enjoy. Do that. Right. But make sure it's not, it's like, are you the tail or are you the dog? Sometimes the apps will wag you and the tail is wagging the dog. That's when you know you're out of control.
That's right. And especially if you are good about making a to-do list. I am a firm believer in to-do lists, because there is a psychological gratification and a dopamine hit that you get when you cross something off the list, right? That's proven physics or science or whatever you want to call it. They have proven that psychologically, when you cross something off, that you completed it, it gives you that sense of validation and satisfaction that you accomplished something. So I'm a big believer in making lists, and your worst thing should be first on the darn list. The thing you hate to do the most should be first, so you can get it out and done and off your plate, and then go on to more fun thing. For me, I love the creative part. I mean, your whole business is creative like that. But as you know, I've been developing this educational series called Freedom by Design about operational independence and how to be able to work on your business instead of in it. And all of the content creation, doing the videos, getting the website and landing pages set up, that's super fun for me. It's super fun. I don't want that to go away, but we're at the end now, and now we're starting marketing it. Believe it or not, we're actually marketing. So yay. So the point I was trying to make, and I forgot what the point was, is that, we all want to do what's fun first. The things that we feel capable in, the things that we enjoy. I was 6 months into my business before I realized I need to go get clients, right? Because I spent all my time making my website and starting software and making marketing collateral, all the creative things that are super fun to do. And I went, wait a minute. Yeah, I created a business, but I don't have any clients. So I better go get some. And so then I had to change my focus into something where I felt less capable. At the time, going out and cold calling people. And remember, my business industry didn't exist when I started. So a great deal of time was spent educating people about what it was, why they needed it, how they could benefit from it. And nowadays, it's funny, because every time I meet people in mastermind groups, they started their business in 2012, 2013, which is about the time where this became, this lifestyle management stuff became commonplace, right? I started in 2006. So that's a big jump, right? There's a big gap in there. And so going out and trying to market to people was way outside my comfort zone. Now I'm perfectly comfortable with it, but at the time I wasn't. So when you say to yourself, okay, you got to go do this, which is hard for you, or you can go do this, which is fun for you, which one are you going to pick? I'm going to pick the fun one every single time. So put the not so fun one on the top of the list, get that done, and then go on to the other one. And sometimes, and I don't know, are you a list maker, Jeff? I think you are. I've seen you make notes.
I do take notes and I write lists, but then I transfer that list to a calendar so that I can, so if somebody says, hey, can you help me with this? Instead of me immediately saying yes, I say, hold on a second. I can't do it today. I can do it on Saturday. I can do it on Monday, so that way I don't get myself behind the 8 ball because I promised myself that I'm going to get these other things done first. So I kind of do a little bit of a combo.
Okay. So I have lists all over my desk. And when I go back to review them, no, I do. And when I go back to the review them, I find out I've accomplished most of them. So I can start crossing things off. Surprisingly so. You have to work with list making in what way it works for you, right? I can take things out of my brain and put them on a piece of paper, on a list, and then I don't sweat them, but I still get them done. So they're not nagging at me. It used to be that I couldn't even go on vacation without worrying about work constantly. Okay. And it wasn't until I took this is when I was in private industry, took everything that I was working on and where I was at on it and put it on a piece of paper and put it right in the middle of my desk and cleared everything else off. So that when I came back, psychologically, I knew everything I needed to get myself right back to speed was right in front of me. And then I could go enjoy myself. But you have to take it out of your brain and put it somewhere.
So would you
go ahead. I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, so would you say then a time waster is not documenting in some form or fashion of what you want to accomplish today or tomorrow or this week?
Yes. Because you can't operate willy-nilly, right? You can't operate by the seat of your pants and just say, okay, I got to go out. Say my goal is to get 10 new clients in the next quarter. Okay. Well, what steps do you need to take to do that? And if you don't write them down, I can guarantee you're not going to do them because you need to see them in your face and say, okay, which of these steps am I going to do today? So that you can accomplish that goal. Otherwise, the 6 months is going to go by and you might get one client just by happenstance, right? So you have to make a concentrated effort, and that it's a time waster to me not to set your goals, not to document what you have to do to achieve them, not to have an action plan, right? And not to have a to-do list. So that's a big deal to me. I think that all business owners, regardless of where you are in the process, can benefit from doing that.
I think I have this vision in my head of a boat, not a big boat, but a boat that requires a sail and a rudder. And I think of the goal as the wind, or excuse me, your sail, because that's what's driving the boat. Mm-hmm. But if you don't have a rudder, you're kind of just flying off. And conversely, if you don't have a sail and you have a rudder, you're probably not going many places. So the goal is what drives you to do things. The rudder are, to me, these are the things you have to implement day to day to get to the end, right? Right. So are you, if you think of yourself as this boat, do you have a sail and do you have a rudder? Do you have some goals? And again, it might be a 1 year, 12 months, or excuse me, let's say 6 months, 12 months. It might be a 5-year goal. That's your sail. Like when I get up, am I making my boat go faster because my rudder, my day-to-day things, is it getting me closer or further away from my target?
Right.
And if you're missing that, you can kind of go back and say, well, okay, I'm missing. I get up every morning. I know what to do. You don't have a goal.
Right. And along with that comes procrastination and what I call analysis paralysis. sometimes you can get so first of all, you can delay things. You might make a list, you might set the goals, you might do all that part well, but then you don't implement them. You don't take the steps. And why don't you take the steps? Most of the time it's because we're afraid of failure, right? We're afraid of failure, or we've got family or friends who are naysaying us because we told them what we were thinking about doing, and they're worried about us getting hurt, or they're worried about us failing. So they're saying, oh, no, you don't want to do that. That's the worst thing you can do. I'm a firm believer in working underground as long as possible. Don't tell people what you're doing until you've already done it. But procrastination is often rooted in fear of failure. And then analysis paralysis is about being afraid to make a decision, which, by the way, is a decision, right? If you don't make a decision, that's a decision. So how do you get past analysis paralysis? Well, in business, I believe walk off any cliff. In other words, just make a decision. If it's wrong, if it's the wrong cliff you walked off, then fix it, change it, take another approach. But at least do something. And that has served me really well. Now, I'm not good at doing that in my personal life. I'm not. But I'm great in business at it. I am fearless in business because no decision is a bad decision. It may not be the right one for what you need, but a decision at least gets you moving, and you have to keep moving in order to be successful, right? So do you ever get analysis paralysis?
Well, I do.
Kind of the content accelerator, for example.
A little bit, and I'll give you some context. It's not an excuse; it's an awareness that maybe you and our viewers and listeners are not aware of. You know, in the world that I work in with artificial intelligence, on Tuesday, I'm in a mastermind group at the University of California, Riverside, and I'm part of that group, the founding group. And what we had a unique individual come in. He is a developer, and he spoke at a different level. I'm a creative. I'm not a developer, but because it doesn't require coding anymore to do what we do. But anyway, we were talking about this. He said, here's the deal. And I hadn't heard anybody say this before. I've said it many times, but not in this way. He said, every day the playing field gets leveled again.
That's right.
He said, because it changes every day. So just yesterday, as an example, I gave my developer for the Content Accelerator at least 5 things that happened over the last week, 7 days, that need to be updated for my Content Accelerator, which is an automated workflow to create content for local businesses to stay relevant and ahead of the game.
Right.
So the good thing about this is, and this is what you help me with, is because I'm changing it doesn't mean I can't put it out, because every time I make a change, it's dynamic. It affects everything across the board. Now, it can't go back and change past content, but from that point forward, all the content coming out will be improved. So that was an awareness that I probably caused analysis paralysis, because I kept thinking, because I'm a big believer in Jeff Bezos. When it's 40% complete, launch that sucker. I believe that. I've done that so many times. But for some reason, this one, because it is changing so rapidly, literally, the playing field is getting leveled every day, that it kept me in this this paralysis position.
But there's nothing wrong with launching it. I mean, you can go ahead and launch it. Right.
Well, and here's the thing, Leslie, it has been launched. It has been tested since February of 2024. So it's not like it's never been out there. We are currently using it on a daily basis, and we've created thousands of pieces of content with it. And along the way, now I can't even remember, if I were Tesla, I don't even know which version this is, because it's been changed so many times, from better technology for creating images, better technology for improving SEO, better for writing, better, all along that, and it keeps getting better. So it's many versions down the road, but like I said, it didn't stop me from launching it for our use. It restricted me to launch it because I thought it had to be ready with everything before I could launch it to the public as, hey, this is something you can use on your own, not me doing it for my clients. So that was, like I said, that was a mindset. That was a
Right.
mind shift for me. So
Right. And it's amazing, all of these things are, remember I told you the example of the, when I worked in aerospace, the engineers that couldn't we'd be still engineering things as I'm trying to rip it out of his hands, the hardware out of his hands so I could pack it to ship it, right? He just couldn't stop changing. And at some point you have to stop, right? That doesn't mean you can't do upgrades or enhancements after the fact, but at some point that product has to be quote unquote done, right? And so just like my educational series, it at some point has to be done so we can start marketing it. Otherwise we will never make any money at it. And what is the goal of a business?
profit.
Make money. It's not even profit, it's just to make money, right? So there's a really good book called The Goal. I think I might have mentioned it before, but it's that's what the basis of it is. What is the goal? The goal is to make money. And most of us are not motivated by that. And so you have to find what does motivate you. I know for you, it's technology. You love technology and you love education and training. I know that too. For me, it's helping people. I love to make a difference for people, whether that's my lifestyle management clients making their living experience better, or my CBS consulting clients helping them be more successful in their business, right? Because there's no reason for business owners to have to reinvent the wheel. And one of the things we're doing with this podcast is making it so that people can learn from us so that they don't have to either delay decisions or reinvent the wheel or waste money on things that are not necessary. We're trying to focus, or we are focusing on those core competencies that really kind of catapult you down that road faster on the business road. I know you believe that too. So we mentioned the fear of failure. And do you want to talk about fear for a few minutes? Because that's a huge time waster for people, in my opinion.
Well, it is. I think the fear causes procrastination, which is what you said. So, there's all kinds of little acronyms for fear: false evidence appearing real. Face it, and gosh, I'm thinking. Anyway, yeah, there's another one.
I don't know this one. Well, what I was
face it and move on, basically. But the whole thing about it is when it comes to fear, and let me finish this thought. I think when it comes to fear, these are stories we make up on our own mind. And again, I'm going to go back to that old brain, the amygdala, that is saying, hey, we want to protect you from being hurt. Well, it had its place when there were saber-toothed tigers on our planet. And it's not such a big deal now, because here's the deal. If my goal is to present something to Leslie as a business owner and she says no, I'm not going to die, right? There's no harm that comes to me.
They can't take away your birthday, Jeff.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. So it's one of those things that most of the time we have this false evidence that appears real, and we tell ourselves this enough that it freezes us. And there's this, fight or flight or freeze. That's the third piece in the sympathetic nervous system that nobody talks about, is the freeze. We're not doing anything. And so you probably see this when you talk to people and they're saying, well, I haven't done that yet. You're like, well, this is the same question I've asked you for 3 weeks in a row.
Right.
Like, so they're in a state of fear, in the freeze mode. And it's like, how do we get out of that?
Well, yeah. And, like when you cold call people, most people hate cold calling because they're terrified they're going to get a no. And part of the problem with getting a no, or the fear of anything in business, is that people take it personally. And you have to find a way to separate who you are personally from who you are as a business owner. People aren't rejecting you personally. They are rejecting what you're offering. Okay. And 9 times out of 10, I dare say 99 times out of 100, when you walk away from a meeting where somebody has said no to you, you won't get 10 minutes away and you go, "Oh, I should have said this, right? I should have said this in response to that no." And what happens with that? You learn how to answer the objection, right? So the next time you're presenting and somebody says no, then you know what to say. And I can almost always turn a no into a yes now because I have done this so many times. But you can't be afraid to do it. You have to separate your self worth, who you are personally, and how you feel personally from your business. It's almost like putting on a facade or a mask and say, "This is my business persona." Technically, I'm an introvert, and I know that you're going to laugh at me, but technically, I'm an introvert. But I can put on my extrovert face when I'm at business networking or anywhere where I have to be around people that's not personal. When it's business related, I can be an extrovert. And that's something we all need to learn to be in business because enthusiasm is contagious. So if you are enthusiastic about your service or your business or your widgets or whatever your invention, whatever it is that you made, if you're enthusiastic about it, other people will be too. Right. So fear is something that is a complete and total waste of time, and you does not need to live in your life at all except for one fear. Do you know what that one fear is?
Death.
No, that's going to happen to all of us no matter what we do. Unless they come up with AI comes up with some more cures. I don't know. The one fear that you should hold on to as a business owner, in my opinion, is the fear of quitting too soon. Too many people, it's so hard to start a business. It's so hard to get going. And then it's even more hard to keep going, to continue that progress, to keep putting one foot in front of the other, to keep day after day, week after week, year after year, to keep doing what you're doing. That is a challenge. And I don't think people realize that when they go to leave private industry and start their own business, that's your biggest challenge, is to keep your enthusiasm up. So I always visualize I know you've probably heard me say this a million times. I've always visualized that miner. There's a cartoon of a miner that's like one strike away from hitting the gold, what do they call that? The vein of gold, or in a gold mine. They're one strike away.
Striking it rich.
Yeah. And then they walk away because they've just tunneled in so far and they just said, "Okay, I'm just done with this." I've kept that image for 20 years in my mind. And I just never wanted to quit. The fear of quitting too soon should be something you carry with you every day. Just keep doing it. And one day you'll look up and you'll go, "Wow, I'm a success. When did this happen? How did I get there?" Right? You look at you. How long have you been doing your stuff? Forever, seems like.
15 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
As you're saying, I'm thinking 15 years, 2 business partners, and COVID and 2000. Well, not it was afterwards, but yeah, it's one of those things that, as I think of failure is only because we chose to quit.
That's right.
Instead of choosing to find another way.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I was
going to say that's it. That's, I think the greatest success usually comes from those who say, "There's one more round I need to fight. Let me get off the mat."
Exactly.
And so,
exactly.
I've seen it so many times where someone will contact me and I'll barely get into a conversation with them and say, "Okay, I'll take it." Crap, that was easy. Why is everybody not that easy? Well, come to find out, they've talked to 4 or 5 other people who do something similar to what I do, but they did a poor job of presenting it, or they didn't like them. And for me, I say they've already teed that person up for me. It's made it super easy. Well,
right.
Sometimes us as business owners think, well, that's the way they all should be. Well, they can't all be that way, because otherwise, without some resistance, our knife doesn't get very sharp. I mean, if you think about it, that's how a knife's edge gets sharpened, is through resistance.
That's
and if you want to be sharp at what you're doing, don't resist confrontation. Don't resist that opportunity to have that confrontation in a way. And I'm not talking of fighting, but I'm talking about the negotiation, the disputing, or Yeah, just discussing what you're talking about and holding your point or seeing their point. That is sharpening your edge.
Right. And when in the lean times, and there will always be lean times, there'll either be a recession, there'll be something like COVID, the housing market collapse. For me, I've been through all of that as somebody who started in 2006. So I've been through all of those things. And when COVID hit and business slowed down, what did I do? I started writing booklets for business owners, which we now sell on our website. Uh, Gratuitous plug there for myself. But I took that time to continue to do things that will help me grow my business, and that's what business owners should do. Well, what have you been waiting to do? What is there something that you wanted to do that you couldn't get around to because you were busy with something else? So don't see downturns or slowdowns as a negative thing. Use them to your advantage to continue to do other things that will help you grow. Because when we did that, we were uniquely positioned at the end of COVID to be the person everybody went to, because we were always visible, right? Whether that was Executive Errands or Concierge Business Solutions, we kept moving forward slowly, but we kept moving forward. And so when everything broke, we were right there. And that's what you want. Too many people gave up and walked away during that period of time. I know so many companies that just shut the doors and walked away. And no, thank you. I didn't work this hard for this long for that to happen. So the fear, I'm going to say it one more time because it's so important. The fear of quitting too soon is a fear all business owners should embrace. Otherwise, fear is worthless and a waste of time.
Well, give us a recap. We're getting 3/4 of the way past the hour, and I know you have to go to work. I have to go to work, but I think we're only on the 4th, possibly.
Yeah,
the
there's
5th.
so many of them. I was just looking at my list. Trying to be perfect is another time waster, which will cause analysis paralysis, which gets you back to, all of these things affect all the other ones, right? So, there's things like the fear of failure. There's the try to be perfect. There's waiting for somebody to inspire you. Fear of competition is a big problem. Do you know that when I first started Executive Errands, I spent 2 months developing stuff and getting ready. And I was so excited about this concept. And I thought I was naive enough to think I was going to be the only person doing this, right? And the day I took my website live, there was a full page article in the lifestyle section in the local paper about another company similar. I almost quit right then and there. I seriously did. And you know what happened? They haven't been in business for 15 years, but I'm still here. And why am I still here? Because I keep putting one foot in front of the other every day. And there's a lot to that. There's branding, there's reputation, there's customer service. All kinds of topics we can talk about, and we will. But this not being afraid to keep moving forward or to quit too soon really is a winner for small business owners. Got to keep doing it.
I agree.
Okay. Well,
what else, Leslie?
I don't know. Let me look. We talked about that. I think caring what other people think is a big one too. That's a waste of time. Or worrying is a waste of time. Worry is where you put energy towards something that hasn't even happened yet. So in fact, I had a friend who was just distraught over some of the tariffs and things like that are going on in the world right now. How his 401k kind of took a tumble for a minute, and he was panic stricken because he had just retired, and he's like, what am I going to do? And blah, blah, blah. I said, it'll come back. It'll be fine. He's like, oh, I don't know. And he's worried. And within a couple of days, of course, it came back, and he, and now he's not even answering when I try to talk to him because he feels foolish for being so panicked. Worry is a complete waste of time. And if you care what other people think, you're going to impede yourself also, right? there's one of the 4 agreements is what other people think of me is none of my business, right? I don't care what people think of me. I do. But as a business owner, if you have integrity, because at the end of the day, that's all you have, right? Is integrity and ethics. And you treat people as you would want to be treated, and you do good customer service, and you have a good product, then anybody that says anything against you is usually jealous or envious or are unhappy in their own life. That's how I feel.
I think it comes down to, I'm going to simplify it even a little bit more because I'm from West Texas. We do things very simple. It's like an oil well. It's down, it's up, and it kicks out cash. Down and up, and it kicks out cash. So anyway, my thought is this:
Texas.
I'm not from Texas. I grew up in Texas, West Texas. But here's the deal: is if you're doing your very best every day with every customer on every project, can you do any better than that? No, if you're doing your very best. Now, it doesn't mean you can't up your skills, but at that moment, you're doing your very best. And when other people have something to say about you, as Lily said, it's none of your business. I'll give you a perfect example. This is this crazy mindset that I don't know if it's because of social media, we're just more aware of it, but there was a little meme that says during COVID we were all scientists. Now the tariffs and we're all economists. And it's like we know so much more than everybody else. I was listening. I had to run an errand today, and this is when I listen to my podcast. Is now when I'm driving because there's nothing else I can do except drive. And this gentleman with his 17 scientists have been working on it. You've probably heard of this, where they actually brought back to life a wolf that hasn't been around for 12,900 years.
The dire wolf. Yep.
Yes, and Vanity Fair, who he had put together, I won't go through the whole thing, but he had put together this whole news conference things because there is this thing, well, somebody's made it up, it's AI, whatever. So he was creating this special event for all the news outlets to be there and verify it with the National Wildlife Foundation and all the whole thing. And he because there's so much information about it, he put it out and asked that nobody do it till Tuesday. Monday, he jumps in the shower and his phone blows up and answers the phone. Vanity Fair put on the front page of their unknown. So now everybody in the world is beating up on him because of it coming out and they didn't tell it. But the part that I didn't get are those people who are haters for bringing this animal back to life, not seeing the amazing science behind it. Now, it doesn't mean they can't have an opinion. They can't feel bad about that. But what about the accomplishment? Can't we support others on the accomplishment? Imagine there's a saying that says, your plant will not grow by feeding it poison. It grows through fertilizer, nourishment, loving. What if we nourish those who are doing great things? If they can do this against all that resistance, oh my gosh, what if they had just one more person, you, on their side saying, go, Leslie, you got this. Wow, that's what I'd love to see. So to me, a time waster is coming from this, is spending time criticizing others. That is a massive waste of time because at the end of the day, and I learned this from a psychologist, a therapist a long time ago, if you spot it, you got it.
That's right. So
it's
he
scary.
Dealt it.
That's right. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Leslie.
No, you're absolutely correct. And I talked about working underground as long as possible. People inherently, their nature is to try to protect their friends and family, right? That's human nature. But that also, what comes along with that is negativity, because they don't want you to get hurt. They don't trust you to be able to make your own decision. They can foresee problems that they think you can't see, right? And so they don't mean to be unsupportive, but that's what happens. So if you keep things to yourself, and it's hard because you're going to want to say, hey, I got this great new idea and I want to do this. I had this happen to me a whole bunch before I started Executive Errands. I wanted to start a little coffee shop in this one location, and everybody poo-pooed it. Nah, it's never going to work, blah, 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 blah. And do you know there was a coffee shop in that spot for 20 years after, and then I wanted to start one of those Disney stores, get a franchise and sell all the Disney products and stuff. And I forget where I wanted to put it because this is a way long time ago. And everybody's like, no, that's never going to work. Nobody's going to buy that. And they were hot for years and years and years, And so you never know what the next big thing is going to be. So your idea, your invention, your plan is just as valuable. It has just as much opportunity to become the next pet rock. And I'm really aging myself by saying the next pet rock. What's a current thing that's really trendy? The fidget spinners, or what else?
Those are even way out. I have no idea.
Are they? Oh, I don't know what's current.
I was going to say mood ring, but that's probably as old as a rock.
That's as old as the pet rock. Yeah, exactly. Oh, Cabbage Patch Babies. Remember that? You could have the next best idea, but you don't need to share it with everybody. My daughter has an idea that's fantastic, and I think would make $1 bazillion. She will not follow it up. And I'm not going to say what it is because it's that good of an idea. But I keep wanting to do it for her because I think that it's literally $1 million idea. And so I haven't yet to be able to convince her to do it. And I have vision for these things, I see opportunity everywhere, just like you do. That's why we always talk about staying in your lane, because we both see opportunities every place. So I guess what we're saying is don't let naysayers take you down as a business owner, because there'll be lots of them. Do your own thing, make your own decisions, keep putting one foot in front of the other, right? Get some discipline, turn off the damn TV, sit down your phone and put boundaries on it. And you too can find that you'll be more successful than you think. And don't be afraid of failure either. Just do it. Oh, it sounds like another commercial. Just do it.
I like it. I'm going to close on my side just saying this is, if you have a goal you want to get done and you're not doing it, you have a problem with time wasting. Mm-hmm. So take a moment and write down, and it may be several moments throughout several days of things that you're doing that you didn't realize were time wasting. Because here's the thing, there's a movie called Groundhog Day where a person didn't live 85 years. They lived the same day 85 years in a row. Ugh. Don't be that kind of person. Be aware, take the blinders off, come out from underneath the fog and say, wait a second, I'm not getting this done, my goal, because I'm getting sucked into Netflix. Oh, I'm watching the news. Oh, I'm doing whatever it is.
Yes.
Use that as your guide.
I agree 100%. So, and if you need help getting started, either one of us have been there and can help. So don't hesitate to reach out and see if there's something we can do for you too. And in the meantime, if you like this podcast and our craziness, please subscribe it, like it, share it with your friends. It's all on, where are we? We're on YouTube, both of our channels, and we're on Spotify, right? Is that where we are these days? And then, of course, we put it out on Facebook and Instagram and all those social media posts.
Websites.
Yep. So thank you.
Leslie, thank you. We'll see you again next time on the Twisted, Bent, and Exhausted Entrepreneur Podcast. Take care.
All right. Bye.